Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how are you today? Before we get started, if you haven't signed up for our newsletter yet, please do so. All the information you're going to need is in the description box below, okay? So grab your coffee, maybe some chocolate, because you just never know with me what's going to come out of my mouth or what's going on in the world today. So, there's a few things that I want to talk about, okay? Lord. One subscriber sent me this. She said to add to the list from the other subscriber who talked about coffee grounds. She said, I put eggshells in the oven and dry them really well and then blend them into a powder to add calcium to the soil for her garden. So there's another gardening tip, okay? So you guys can use that. So that's a really great tip. I love when you guys send me tips like that. And then these pictures were sent in, okay? She said, over a year ago, Alaskan Granny posted a video on tons of shipping containers behind Walmart. So I decided back then to check ours in Massachusetts. We had the exact same thing, about 60 of them stacked, most of them inside a gate. A few months later, they had all disappeared, the whole time having shortages. Last night, I decided to take a look, and all the containers are back. Here's a few pictures. I'm wondering what the heck is in them with such shortages. I doubt it's supplies, or is it? I'd love to be around when someone opens up those things. Curiosity has bit me in the butt. Yeah, especially because hasn't Walmart stopped their layaway? So there wouldn't be anything like layaway-ish. You know, they can't use that. So what's in these containers? So here's some pictures for you. Okay, hang on. Okay, so now there's two articles that I want to address, okay? And these were sent to me, okay? So U.S. debt collectors, okay? We all have dealt with them in the past, or we are dealing with them, or whatever the case may be, okay? Because I know a lot of us are trying to pay off our debt as fast as possible, okay? Have a new tool at their disposal. Social media. Yeah, this is why I don't like dealing with social media at all. Under financial regulations that went into effect, debt collection agencies can contact you via text or direct messages on social media. Excuse me? The rule was added to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, a 44-year-old piece of legislation. That's insane to even think that. So what are you going to do? Slide into my DMs now? Even if I did, I'm just saying. So this 44-year-old piece of legislation that controls how debt collectors can communicate with borrowers, right? And according to the Washington Post, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau announced the change in autumn 2020, citing rapid developments in technology and transforming methods of communication. Now, debt collectors and consumers have been trapped in like a time warp, right? And they have been required to communicate with each other under standards Congress enacted in 1977 until now. Now, today, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is issuing a final rule that provides clear consumer rights and limitations for debt collectors on using modern technologies to communicate with each other. No matter the reason, a consumer has a debt in collection, we want to make sure there are clear rules of the road for debt collectors to follow the law, and alongside that, swift action against those who flout the law. The CFPB has laid out limitations to new rules. According to the Bureau's website, if a debt collector chooses to contact a person through social media, they must do so with a private message. They must also identify themselves as a debt collector and give debtors the option to opt out of further communication on social media platforms. The Bureau was granted the authority to write rules on debt collection practices, and the changes will provide better protection for consumers, clearer operating procedures for debt collectors' intent on following the law, and easier identification of the bad actors we will take action against. We are finally leaving 1977 behind and developing a debt collection system that works for consumers and industry in the modern world. My. What has this world come to? No kidding. I mean, I don't use social media, okay? But this, in my opinion, is there's a privacy thing there. But that's just my opinion. I mean, whatever. So then this, okay. So the U.S. intelligence, okay, is warning of a possible Russian invasion of Ukraine involving as many as 175,000 troops as soon as January. A U.S. official confirmed this, okay, following a Friday report in the Washington Post about the scale of a possible offensive. The plans involve extensive movement of 100 battalion tactical groups with an estimated 175,000 personnel, along with armor, artillery, and equipment. And this is according to an administration official. Roughly 70,000 Russian troops are currently deployed opposite Ukraine. Although they lack the support units needed to launch an invasion, that support would come from reservists. Now, according to the administration official, Russia has embarked on a sudden and rapid program to establish a ready reserve of contract reservists. And this is something that was not seen back in the spring during a rapid Russian military buildup near Ukraine's borders, okay? So a National Security Council spokesperson said that Potato's administration has been consistent in the message to Russia, which is that the United States does not seek conflict, and that diplomacy and de-escalation should be used to avert a crisis. Is this because the Ukraine with Hunter? I'm going to shut up. So we are deeply concerned by evidence that Russia is stepping up its planning for significant military action against the Ukraine. And that's what a spokesperson said. And the U.S. and other officials have been sounding the alarm in recent weeks over Russian troops massing, concerned that an offensive or an escalation over a 7-year-long conflict in the volatile eastern region of Donbass could be on the horizon. Now, Russian officials, however, have said reports of a military buildup are baseless, and it in turn accused NATO of building more of a foothold in what Russia considers its own backyard. Now, the country's top diplomat attacked the alliance this week for deploying a significant amount of military hardware near Russia's borders and said Moscow could respond to security threats from Western countries and Ukraine if necessary. Now, the fact that we are being accused of conducting military exercises on sovereign territory by the countries that are bringing troops and military equipment to our borders in huge quantities from overseas, and the fact that the United States has surrounded us from all sides with their military bases is something every school kid knows. And that's what Russia's Sergei Lavrov said. Okay. And yet this hysteria is constantly being whipped up. Now, the U.S., however, has information indicating that Russian media outlets and others have been increasing content disparaging Ukraine and NATO, partly to blame a possible Russian military escalation in Ukraine, according to the administration official. There are also indications that Russia officials have proposed emphasizing a narrative that Ukraine leaders were installed by the West, harbor hatred for the Russian world, and were acting against the Ukraine's people's interest. So I don't know what this means for us. I really don't. Could this mean we could be seeing conflict with Russia? I hope not. I really hope not. I mean, that would just, that would be the... Is that what they want? Is that what Potato wants? I mean, I'm serious. I'm asking, because, that would be that would be the nail in the coffin. I'm not kidding. That would seriously be the nail in the coffin, So anyway, all right, guys, that's all for this video. I love you. I'll see you in the next one. You stay safe. You stay positive. You keep prepping. And as always, fearless. Ciao.